From the fantasyfootballshow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So 6 games is what Deshaun Watson will be handed by Sue Robinson. And it's kind of shocking, but not at the same time, because we talked about this weeks ago when we've been awaiting this announcement for some time. And Sue Robinson is a judge, a retired judge. We knew she was probably going to handle this a little more conservatively on the end of like evidence, on the end of like, you know, overreacting. We knew that as a judge, probably going to look at it from a less emotional standpoint. And here's the thing. The NFL has already said prior to this announcement that they would not appeal whatever the decision is by the independent party, which is part of why both sides really wanted to get Roger Goodell out of this. Hey, let's let an independent person take a look at it that's unrelated and make a decision. Now, the NFLPA is most certainly not going to appeal this, because this is like a gift to Deshaun Watson and his camp in terms of like worst case scenario, what Watson could lose. Watson's only going to lose $345,000 out of this $230 million, which is pretty low. So, I mean, it's like, okay, you could look at this 100,000 different ways. I don't really want to get into the right and wrong of it, because it usually brings out all the negativity. Like, oh, he's in it. Mostly what you get is somebody coming in and going, "Smitty, what do you mean? What suspension? He's innocent." And they get mad. And then you have the other people saying he should never play again. There's two sides to this argument, and I'm not here to argue the right and wrong of what he did, what he didn't do, proving innocence or guilt. That belongs in the court. I have my opinions. You guys kind of know where I stand on this situation. There are literally, you know what? I guess I'll just dip into it a little bit. There's a lot of evidence that some wrongdoing took place. Whether what everybody's claiming happened, that's a whole nother thing that needs to be decided in the courts. But there was a lot of strangeness that went on here. I think we could all admit that there were potentially 60 to 100 people that this man met with, and of the evidence that Sue Robinson had, she had to look at violating the personal conduct policy. Sue's job was not to decide whether he was guilty or innocent of said claims. Sue was there to look at this from a pure conduct policy. Did he violate the personal conduct policy perspective? That's it. She's not here going, what's the evidence? If it was about guilt or innocence, just so everybody out there knows, so that when Fantasy Karen or Fantasy Bob comes in here and says, "Smitty, why are you talking about this right now? He's innocent, and I can't believe you would say that." It's about violating the personal conduct policy, Bob. I'm not here to talk about innocence or guilt. He most certainly did violate the personal conduct policy. He just got a cakewalk suspension of 6 games to prove that he violated the personal conduct policy. The question is whether the NFL is going to accept it. They could appeal it. They said they were not going to appeal it. We'll kind of find out what the NFL ends up doing at the end of the day, because 6 games is way below what they wanted. They were trying to argue for indefinite suspension. The NFL wanted indefinite. The NFLPA and Watson's camp, they wanted nothing. They wanted 0 games. The NFL wanted indefinite. They wanted the whole year, and then Watson to have to reapply the next season to even get into the 2023 season. So this ruling clearly was on the side of Deshaun Watson and his camp. They're ecstatic probably about this number of 6 games. They're not appealing it at all. They're gonna sit there and just hope the NFL won't do anything. They're gonna be like this, pins and needles all day. Will the NFL do anything? The word is the NFL will not do anything. The NFL has said prior to the ruling they will leave whatever the judge, the retired judge, Sue Robinson, decides, leave that as the determination. Now, let me just also say something. There's a lot of people that don't know what's going on. Smitty, this is over.
Wrong. Muy mal.
Smitty, he can't get suspended for any future cases.
Wrong.
We don't know what's going on. This is the first time any of us, including attorneys that have done this for years, that have analyzed this situation, they've said, we don't know. We've never seen this in our, this situation in our life. This is crazy. Like, we don't know. Who knows what happens if more people come forward? Who knows what kind of anger is triggered from people that do believe Watson's guilty and did wrong upon them, and he's going to lose $345,000 out of $230 million guaranteed. There are going to be people that are not happy about that if they truly believe in their own mind and their own heart that Watson did them wrong or did something wrong. So here's what I'm going to say. If anybody thinks this is over, like completely over, they got another thing coming, because this thing could get messy still if more individuals end up coming forward of the 60 to 100 pool of individuals. There's a pool of people said to be reportedly, I don't know this as a fact. No one knows if it's a fact. No one knows if the number's even close. But there's a number between 60 and 100 is what reports are. That he set up over at least 60 of these situations with non-disclosure agreements in most cases, in hotel rooms with Instagram people that may or may not even been masseuses. Hey, do you have a masseuse license? No. Hey, are you a masseuse at all? Well, I one time took a spoon and scratched my grandfather's foot. So does that qualify as me being a masseuse? Yeah, come on over. We'll have you sign a non-disclosure agreement, get you all hooked up. We don't have any spoons, but don't worry. Like, that's what we're talking about here. Literally, who are you? My name is so-and-so. Do you massage? No. Oh, it's okay. Come on over. 60 to 100 of these potential situations. And like I always say, if somebody let's just use Bob as an example. If Bob walks over and slaps Bill across the face on the street corner, then Bob goes to California and slaps Joe. And then he goes to New York and slaps Mo. And goes to Texas and slaps Glow. And everybody gets slapped by Bob, okay? All over town. 60 to 100 just random slaps across the face. This guy Bob, right? Goes around slapping everybody across the country. Now, 20 or so people actually pursue action against Bob for slapping him across the face. Now, the NFL comes in like they did. They make a determination on Bob and say, Bob, you shouldn't have been slapping people all over this, physical altercation of you, Bob. You're addicted to this slapping thing. And Bob goes and slaps 20, or slaps all these people, 60 to 100. We don't even know. Now, the NFL has made a determination on 22 of those situations. Okay? If somebody else comes out in another state saying, Bob slapped me, does the NFL just say, oh, we already covered it? Bob had a slapping problem in 2019 to 2022. We already talked to him. We gave him a slap on the wrist. We took $345,000 of his $230 million guaranteed. He won't do it again. That's not the way it works. If there's new cases, it's new evidence. You don't know the severity of one of those altercations. What if Bob really just beat the heck out of somebody in Portland? And you're going to sit there and go, well, yeah, but the slap in New York took care of that. No, it's separate. So what happens? Nobody knows the answer to this question. What happens if someone comes forward in another case, and does the NFL relook at that situation for violating the league's personal conduct policy relating to that situation? Nobody really knows. There's no answer to that question. I'm not saying he for sure will face a whole nother situation if 4 new cases get filed, but this attorney against Deshaun Watson knows what he's doing. And if anybody thinks this is over, I think you're going to find out you have another thing coming, because this attorney, maybe that's why he held up. Does anybody think there were 2 more cases that were supposed to be filed that never got filed? There were 2 more cases. We were supposed to be looking at 6 potential cases being pending instead of 4. Now there are 4 pending cases, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on the number, but I believe it's 4 pending cases still against Deshaun Watson in civil court for these accusations, right? 4. There were 2 that were supposed to be filed. 2 new additional cases. Those 2 cases never filed. We never heard those conclude or come to a point where they were filed. Why? Has anybody asked why? Has anybody said, hey, what happened to those 2 pending cases, Smitty? I've lost my voice, so I apologize. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody but me. Nobody but me is talking about what happened to those two cases. They just got lost in the ether. Where are they? There was potentially 2, maybe 4 that could have been drummed up and the new cases being filed against them. Why do you think that is? I think, and this is my speculation, I have no evidence whatsoever to support this. This is pure just me trying to predict the situation here as the best that I can. I think those are in the back pocket of this prosecution, that they're going to potentially pull those out to reignite something with Deshaun Watson. I don't know. I'm totally guessing, but we didn't hear anything about him. 3 were just settled. How many, Ron, are pending though? To my knowledge, there were still at least the 2 to 4 that are still being looked at, but there are 2 to 4 that were potentially going to come forward. Like, so there's not a lot of clarity. There's not a lot of clarity. We'll see what happens. Watson out 6 games as of right now. I think this isn't over. My prediction, and this is just my very, very, educated, but very much on the guess side too. Educated guess of the situation is this thing isn't over. This thing isn't over. This is just, I don't want to say the beginning, but I don't think we've heard the last of potential suspension. And that is because future situations don't really relate to these situations as much as they could parallel and be talked about as, oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's not. They're different cases. If this was one class action lawsuit, it'd be different. It's not class action. It's consolidation. There's a big difference. Every single one of these cases is completely separate. Every one of these cases is separate. Everybody's got a different opinion. Avi says should be less than 6 games. Some people are going to say that. Some people are going to say it should be more. One pending I heard to be resolved, but doesn't count. I don't know. I don't know that we know for sure if it's 1 or if there are still 3, or if there's even going to be 4 or 5 with the new cases. So we'll have to see. I don't think it's over. Joe says 1 pending. We'll see. Even if there's just the 1 pending, and I don't know if this is the original case, is the one that's still there. The original person, I believe, is the one that is still not settling. They want to take this the distance, or they're looking for probably a bigger payday. We don't know. But does anybody believe that of the 60 to 100 possible situations that, and with the statute of limitations in March of next year, that means anybody that wants to can come forward between now and March of next year. Does anybody think that of 60 and potential 100 of these situations that we're not going to see new cases filed against Watson? I'm just telling you, this does not feel, it could be the end, but it does not feel like the end to me. It does not feel like the end to me. And for Nev, we talked about this for weeks now. I mean, initially we thought he's not coming back. He's not playing. He may never play again. He may not play in 2022 at all. But weeks ago we started talking about Nev, how those tables turned once they got Sue Robinson, a former judge, involved. They was going to look at this much more conservatively than, let's say, an emotional you or I or emotional Roger Goodell. It was going to be looked at from a strictly evidence perspective, which there would be evidence that he violated the personal conduct policy. But it was going to come in a lot different than people thought, because Sue Robinson was focused on just looking at personal conduct while everybody else's emotions were involved in looking at the bigger picture. Now, what would I have done? I don't know what I would have done. I'm glad I wasn't in a position to make a decision, because I would have probably let my emotions get involved. Sue Robinson, former judge that was the decision maker in this situation, the responsibility granted to her by both the NFL, the NFLPA, and actually Roger Goodell, all three, to make this determination. Roger Goodell, I told you, Roger Goodell would not probably step in, or the NFL, even if they appeal it, let's say. And the NFL said they wouldn't appeal it prior to this decision being announced. They said, we're going to let it stand, whatever it is. So we'll see if the NFL stays true to that word. But even if the NFL decided to appeal it to Roger Goodell, who then becomes, because discipline was handed down at all, he now becomes judge, jury, and executioner of the decision if he decides to change it up. So if the NFL does go against what they say and they appeal this situation, Roger Goodell can do whatever he wants. Sue Robinson's recommendation becomes just that, a recommendation, not a mandatory amount of time. So if Roger Goodell, let's say, does get put in a position by the NFL to listen to an appeal and make a determination, I've told you for weeks now, that Roger Goodell is not going to do much of straying from the 6th game. The 6th game looks bad from a perspective of people that say that he should be out a year. The 6th game suspension on the flip side looks good for people that feel it's too much anyway, like Avi or whoever. And nobody yell at anybody in here that has a different perspective. It's okay to have different perspectives. But if Watson, if you feel Watson shouldn't even be suspended at all, 6 games feels like too much, whatever. It's still, Roger Goodell's not going to stray from Sue Robinson's determination too much, even if it goes to appeal, because he can't do that and circumvent the process he put in place. A process of, I'm not involved. I'm here if you need me. If the NFL appeals, if the NFLPA appeals, I'll step in. But I think it's pretty clear that even if if an appeal happened, Roger Goodell would let happen what happened. I don't think he would come in and do anything, because he would be undermining his own setup process of being removed from the equation. So if the NFL, and this is why I think the NFL probably won't appeal and make it messy, I have a feeling Roger Goodell would probably tell the NFL, all the owners, look, don't appeal, because I'm going to not circumvent the process that I put in place independently away from me in the NFL. Sue Robinson made a decision. Sue Robinson's decision will be accepted by Goodell for the most part. Maybe he'd go to 8 games or something just to keep all sides kind of happy. And I think the NFLPA would be upset at that, but they'd also understand if he wiggled it up a little bit to 8 games, if it got appealed by the NFL, which I don't think the NFL at this moment looks like they're going to appeal. And the NFL would probably accept just anything else they can get out of it, right? So if it was 8 games, that would kind of make Goodell look like he did take action, but he didn't circumvent Sue Robinson's determination. Therefore, the process did kind of work, because Goodell and the NFL would have given him a year indefinite and then a reapplying that needed to be taking place to get into 2023. So even if Goodell did say, okay, let's bump it to 8 games, if it gets appealed by the NFL, which it won't, I don't think, but if it did, let's give it 8 games, I think that would not be stepping over the line too much, but it would also be looking like, okay, Goodell isn't standing for this, and it's a messy situation. This is not over. No one's happy on either side. Like, I think the Watson camp and Watson supporters are happy enough because they were expecting the worst, but now they're going to settle on the fact that, man, he shouldn't have been suspended at all. And people that wanted him out a year or more or never playing again, there are stances all over the place. Those people will not be happy with 6 games. I can tell you right now, the less happy side are the people that wanted Watson out for a year or more. That side is not happy right now. 6 games is not a lot. Yeah, Watson's definitely not a moon man. We're not putting him on the moon. Yeah. So, interesting unfolding of this event and situation. I don't think, mark my words, and I'm guessing here, I have no insider information at all, but my guess is that this is not over. This is not over. I believe that the prosecution and the side of this that's going after Watson, it has things in their back pocket, like more individuals that are going to wait and hold off, and we'll see what happens. That's just my guess. I don't think this is over. I don't. Ron says, I think the NFL has no choice but to appeal. Look at her verbiage. There was no precedent set, so had her hands tied. So the NFL, it's up to the NFL to, yeah, I mean, it is a PR nightmare. Ron, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Thank you all yesterday for all the super chats. Pretty Richie, Ron, the Don, Triggerman Ron, dropped a wad of a super chat. Then he went and bought a lifetime membership on thefantasyfootballshow.com. So congrats, Ron, on your new membership, young man. And I will be texting you from the text line here shortly. But appreciate you joining up. Ron, you're the man. You're the man, Ron. Same thing goes for Jocelyn. One of the Jocelyn brothers that are not related. Jocelyn, appreciate you and all that you do. So just want to say thank you. But Ron, I don't know. I mean, you could be right. I'm not saying that the NFL won't appeal, but they did say we will not appeal. They could go back on that. Say we that was what we thought when there was going to be a fair ruling or whatever. They could definitely come out and do that. Also, it's not just because it was said that the NFL wouldn't appeal. How strong was that polling of, of that decision? You know what I mean? Like, was it just in passing with a few individuals? Like, what? How do you know that the NFL wasn't going to appeal in sum total? Like, it's not something you can really determine with very good accuracy, I think, ahead of time. So, I agree, Ron. There could be a potential appeal. It just seems like too low of a number for the NFL side of it. I'm not trying to argue right and wrong here. I'm just saying, from the NFL's perspective, this does seem like a very low number that they will not be happy with. So we'll see. But my initial guess is they won't do anything. But I don't think this is over. I don't. From a lot of different angles. From maybe the NFL appealing perspective, but also from a perspective of that. This attorney, I don't think, is done stirring up things, is my guess. But we will see. Appreciate every single one of you. What else we got? While we're here, let me know what you got, and I can definitely, let's see, Joseph's one pending. Yeah, it's between 1 and 3 pending cases. There's a lot of ambiguity still going on around this situation, but there are still potentially 2 cases that just never got filed. And I strongly believe this prosecution just said, hold on, wait until this ruling comes out. When it happens, the next day we'll announce that you're filing. Like, guys, think about it for a second. It's not done. I don't think it's done. Imagine, I think Tyler wants it done. And Tyler, maybe it is, but I don't think it's done. Imagine tomorrow hearing that 2 cases are being filed against him. Like, does that not sound like par for the course for this situation? Right or wrong? Does that not sound like par for the course? It just feels like that's what's going to happen. More cases will be filed. Those cases that were going to be filed probably were held off for this reason. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. I'm totally speculating. I have no evidence whatsoever, but I feel like there are cards to be played that were put in the back pocket of the prosecution. And right or wrong, I think those cards will probably be played. Yeah, James, I'm a little late. Usually I'm like, the minute something breaks, I'm on here, but sometimes, depending on when news breaks, your boy Smitty's on the West Coast, so I wasn't up at 6 a.m. ready enough in time. I should have been on my toes, but we still came out here, did it live. We got 110 people in here. Punch the thumb up button. 110 people watching and only 36 thumbs up. Let's pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers right there. 36 thumbs up and 113 eyeballs. Those are rookie thumb up numbers compared to those eyeballs. Let's pump those puppies up. Let's get those numbers up. Smitty, NFL will have to adjust the suspension or outrage will cause them millions, says Rich. I think that's what the NFL is thinking. Like, they probably were like, we won't mess with the suspension if you make it big. Okay. Yeah, we will not appeal as long as the suspension's up there. You know what I'm saying? We won't appeal, okay? Do the right thing, Sue. Like, this is what I think the NFL stance was. We won't appeal it. Not. You know? Like, I think, Rick, there's something to what you're saying. Like, no one knows. But this is not a good look for the NFL in terms of the sponsorships and all that. Because the majority of people, right or wrong, and you could be completely all upset about this and say, Smitty, how can you say that? He's completely... Like, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get the people that come in and say, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's innocent, though. Like, he didn't do anything. There's, like, no evidence whatsoever, Smitty. There's, like, nothing. What do you even mean? Why are you even doing this live? This is old news. He didn't do anything. Like, there's so many passionate people, which I appreciate that stance, to believe it or not. I appreciate that stance, because that stance is one for innocence until proven guilty. And I actually really do appreciate those people. And we need those people in this world. A lot of other people are making a lot of speculated judgments on this situation. But I believe there is a lot of evidence to support some of those knee-jerk reactions from people. Knee-jerk reactions of that there are literally 60 to 100 of these people maybe out there that were set up to have random massages from people that didn't even know how to massage. I'm telling you, there are probably people that said to Deshaun, have you ever performed massages or have any experience at all? This is your interview. Like I said, I used to take a spoon and scrape the bottom of my grandfather's foot when he'd ask me, and he'd pay me $0.25. Perfect. You have the experience we need. Please get in line. You are number 68. There's 60 to 100 people, potentially. Definitely losing my voice. I've been live a lot lately. I've been screaming a lot lately. So, you know, it is what it is. And I didn't give Ron a standing ovation for his...
Mashed potatoes!
Thank you, Ron. Judge Verbiage said evidence showed... And is strong verbiage. I think that is what NFL will use in the appeal. Yeah, egregious misconduct is definitely strong verbiage. I wouldn't be shocked if the NFL says, look, we are going to appeal. We said we weren't going to appeal, but we did not think that this ruling would be this way. And there is a lot of money at stake. Keep in mind that Beats by Dre, I believe Nike and a few others, or at least those two, dropped Deshaun as soon as this word came down at the very beginning that any of this was potentially going to happen. So there's a lot of sponsorship dollars involved for the NFL. And there will be a lot of pressure by advertisers and people that want to stand up for the rights that are correlated to this situation. Whether you like it or not, whether you think Watson's innocent or guilty, I'm not here to argue that. That's what the court's here for. So, regular people don't settle 23 lawsuits, says Joe. Don't lose your voice, sir. I am losing my voice. James, it's already done. It's already done. How does this help Cooper in Dynasty? Well, Nev, because I don't think it's over. I don't know that I make any kind of Dynasty reactions. I just don't. I don't think this is over. Like, think about it from this perspective. Okay, and this is kind of like the last that I'll leave on the topic. Yeah, don't be a casual. Hit that thumb up button, says Kenny. Guys, we could do better than this. 111 of you just lingering in here and 55 thumbs up. That means that roughly 50.5% of you are not pulling your weight on the thumb up situation here. So wipe them feet, help your boy Smitty. Let's go. This is how I'll leave it. Think back a minute to a time when news broke that Deshaun Watson the DA was not bringing any charges criminally against him. Things blew up in a positive direction for Watson. He inked his deal almost immediately after. 200 innocent. This guy is not going to trial for criminal. There's no evidence. Boom. Told you it was all fake. Everybody was like, I told you it was fake. I want to go Watson. And it was Watson, Watson season to everybody. Okay, criminal fell through. Nothing was going to happen. That meant everything was fine. Dude signs a $230 million deal, even with pending civil cases. Okay, things looked great. Things looked up. Things looked completely fixed to everybody. Then what happened? It went back downhill. More people filed. So I think this isn't over. We'll see. We'll see. Because all it takes is just a little bit of news. Like, this is not me. Like, I even noticed when I talk about this, like, thumbs up, thumbs down come in when I mentioned that this might be over, not be over. And it's like, people react. They're like, this guy. Like, I'm telling you what I believe the NFL is going to do and what I predict to happen, not necessarily giving my opinion as to whether he's guilty or innocent. So it is funny when people take this the wrong way, but I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over. Drink hot whiskey, lemon, and honey for the throat. I gotta drink something, bro. Maybe I'll pound a Mexican Coke real quick and see if that fixes it. It usually does the trick. But I'll be here later. If I can talk, even if it's a whisper, I'll be like, "Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. Let's go. Let's go.
To the moon.
To the moon." Oh man. I don't lose my voice, but maybe once a year. But it happens. I was screaming and yelling the other day. And, this is your pilot speaking. Here, let's read this in a proper form. Okay? Let's give this man JR the respect he deserves. All right, here we go. JR?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your pilot Smitty speaking, and it is my pleasure to welcome you aboard SM Space Monster Airlines with service to the moon and continuing service to Mars.
I like this, JR. We might have to use this. Welcome aboard your Space Monster airline. Put your tray tables back, because Trey Lance is headed to the moon!
To the moon.
Please. Welcome aboard Space Monster Airlines. I am your pilot, Smitty, who's lost his voice tonight, but that's okay because we have a megaphone. Hey, I could use the megaphone if I lose my voice. I could pretty much talk like this even if I lost my voice. Perfect. Put your tray tables up. Your Trey Lance tray tables, because we're going to the moon!
To the moon.
Amari Cooper back to being a wide receiver too. Not so fast, Macho. Again, this isn't necessarily over yet. Okay, a lot of things could happen. NFL could appeal. More cases could come up. Look, the statute of limitations. Let me make something abundantly clear. The statute of limitations is March of 2023. We don't know what's going to arise. We don't know what's going to happen between now and March. I mean, odds are this attorney that's the prosecuting attorney is probably not done. Like, really? You think he's just going to step away from this? I don't know. I don't know. Like it now so you don't get a 6-show suspension, says Rock Out. We're going to give you a 6-show, no show for you for 2 weeks if you don't thumb up the video right now. 74 thumbs up out of Boyskis. Out of Boyskis, out of Broskis, out of Space Monsters. Maybe that's the name of we've always kind of never really named our community, like the Fantasy Football Show community, the clan, the Warriors, the Mafia, the War Room, maybe it's Space Monsters. Maybe when people say, hey, what's your community called? We're over here, we're called the blah 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 Mafia or the blah 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 fam. Oh, we're the Space Monsters. The what? Yeah, we're the Fantasy Football Show Space Monsters. That's our community name. What? I like it. I like it. That would make me ask questions. That would make me ask follow-up questions about that community. I'd be like, Space Monsters? What? Wait a minute. That's the name of your community? Tell me more. I like it. We're the space from now until. Where's my mallet? Where's my look? How am I supposed to rule? How does Sue Robinson rule without her mallet? Where's my mallet? Where's my mallet? I don't even have it. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. Ah. Ah. I now rule in the old gods and the new, in the realm that we are now as a community known for this day until your last as space monsters. No relation to the football or the just space monsters. That is our community name. From now until the end of time, we are the Space Monsters.
To the moon.
Because we send players to the moon. All right. 40-minute live, not bad. Not bad. We are out of here. Appreciate you all. What was this super chat? Did I even answer it? Yes, I did. Thank you, Rock Out. Thank you, Ron Navy. Whiskey and lemon. I'm going to try and see if we have anything like that for the throat. Ron Navy's other judge verbiage of egregious misconduct is important. Appreciate that super chat. Ron Navy's other super chat. The NFL has no choice but to appeal. Appreciate that super chat, Ron. And thank you all for all of those. Now, your boy Smitty will be back. Appreciate you all. Space Monster alum. Space Monster University. Space Monster Airlines. Space Monster. Man, we got so many ways we could take this. So many ways we could take this. It was JR, right? JR had a good little recommendation there. Space Monsters Incorporated. Space Monster mashed potatoes. Woo! We could sell canned Space Monster. We could put label. We could literally sell. We could be the first show to ever sell mashed potatoes. I don't really want to get into the food business, but if I did, we would sell Space Monster mashed potatoes. Space Monster Airlines. Space Monster Apparel. Space Monster video games. Space Monster pillows. Space Monster TVs. Space Monster. Rockout wants to know favorite platform, Sleeper, ESPN, or other. I like to commission on Sleeper. Rockout, appreciate the super chat, by the way, Rockout. I like to commission on Sleeper. I like to play as a fantasy owner on ESPN. You know what I'm saying, broski? Rockout, you still here? You know what I'm saying, broski? Yeah. I like to play on Space Monster platforms. Anything that supports Space Monsters. I support Space Monster Mexican Cokes. Alright guys, appreciate you all. Peace out. Rock out, you still here? I got your super. I don't know if Rock out had another one. I'm looking. Thank you, Rock out. ESPN, baby. ESPN's just a lot more fun from I think a owner perspective, but commissioning is so easy on Sleeper versus ESPN doesn't make it easy on the commissioner. I'll be honest. Space Monster Airlines. I like it, JR. Good job. Later, DTWD. Appreciate you. See you all at 7 or earlier if news breaks again. Don't be shocked if more Watson stuff breaks before even 7 p.m. Eastern, I'm telling you. Space Monster League is a good idea. Maybe we New crew. One more league. One more league. One more league. Space Monster League. Maybe one more league. All right, see you all. People are getting burrowed left and right, and people are gonna remember it.
Get where?
You raise me.
Get breached. Get breached.
Smitty, you're not hearing me. I don't know a lot about fantasy football. I know everything about fantasy football. Woo! You know,